Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Debra King on the line, and she is author of the upcoming book, I Have a Message for You. Debra, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you very much. Good morning.
All right, Debra, so I'm excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to talk more about your book, I Have a Message for You, and just to get us kicked off, maybe just start off with telling us a little bit more about your background and what inspired this book.
Well, I have been experiencing special things since I was about 7. And so I have been writing about that and journaling about it ever since then.
That's awesome. So let's go a little bit further. I need more. You gotta give me more, Debra. You're not gonna leave the audience hanging this. So what are these messages? I mean, let's go further into this.
Okay. Well, let me just begin with, I have been gifted with many spiritual gifts by God. Too many to even name. Some of them are telepathy, some of them are vision, some of them, there's just a lot of them. But since about the age of 7 or so, as far back as I can remember, in the early days of my life, I experienced 2 little girl angels who were my constant companions. And as I went through my life, I would ask them hundreds of questions, and they answered every single one for me so beautifully. One time I remember being a little upset that my younger sister, was getting all of my mother's attention. And I said to them, why doesn't she pay it, why don't I have this experience with her? And their answer was this: because they need each other. And so isn't that special that they have each other? And you're so lucky because you have us, for example.
Is there how do you choose what messages that you're going to put in the book? Because if you've been doing this and journaling for this long, I'm imagining like volumes and volumes of writing in journals. Am I off on that one?
No, I have so many I can't get them in my condo.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, you got a lot of journals, I'm guessing. So how are you going about, there's a lot of people listening that want to write books, or they have a message they want to tell, and they may not have your exact message or your exact gift, but they have something that they want to share too. Like, how are you going about curating and choosing what you're going to add to the book?
Well, for me, and I think that this would apply to anyone, is that I have very large notebooks. One that goes from 1985 to, 2000, and the next one goes forever. And I just pick one up, and I open up the pages, and I let God choose. Whatever moves me, whatever feels like this is it, this is the one, and that's just how it happens for me. And so that's how I choose. I don't.
Talk a little bit more about the organization, of the book. Is it going to have certain themes? Is it going to be chronological, in terms of just how the contents of the book are going to be laid out?
That's a very good question. The first draft of my book, which I already wrote, I scrapped. I started over. Honestly, I thought that people would ask, why you? Why should we listen to you? And so my first book was all about those experiences that I had with the angels. And, one time I saved a baby boy in our backyard who had drowned. Just some amazing stories, right? But then I realized that it's not about me. And I find that now that I've been writing on LinkedIn for about a year and a half, no one has said anything to me like, why should we listen to you? Why were you chosen? Somebody did ask me last week for the first time, have I experienced any paranormal and was it scary? But other than that, no one has really questioned me.
Wow. No, this is great. And I think, and one of the things that I think is interesting about this is some of the people that are out there listening that want to write books, like it's not easy, like what you're doing, first of all. I've seen other books that have been written based off of journals or based off of, kind of like or biographies or memoirs, right? And it's not easy. And one of my favorites was, oh, geez, I can't remember the name right now, but it was Ronald Reagan had a daily diary. He's one of the only presidents that kept a daily diary. So every single day as president, like he wrote whatever, and this was published in a book. So it's a big, 3-inch thick book. It's huge, right? And when I think about, now obviously that's a little bit different, right? The State Department of that had to all be approved, every word that could be written, but what I find encouraging about your story and about what you're doing is I feel like there's a lot of maybe people that have journaled or taken notes or like things in their life in the past that haven't even really considered sharing that content with the broader world for them to, for them to learn from and for them to, and to publish and to get it out there, because I feel like there's messages that can be even within the messages, right? Like other things that people are going to read what you wrote and that in your book that comes out that other people need to hear that you didn't even know, but you were the messenger for the messenger, if that makes sense.
It does to me.
It makes sense to me too, and I get it, and to see what comes out and what and like the reaction you get from this. What is your? So I know this is an unfair question, and you could say it's a loaded question, but I'm not going to hold you to it. But I am a publisher, so I always think like this. So I will ask the question: what is your goal for actually publishing? Like when? I know the first draft you scrapped, and you're like, oh, I got to do it again, and you might do that again, but in your heart, as of this moment, when do you think you want to get this work out?
Well, I want to get it out as soon as I'm ready, and I'm finding that that's a lot of work. Right now, the speed has picked up so fast that I'm getting invitations, and I don't have my web page is not ready. I need to get into the Twitter accounts, the Facebook accounts. It's a lot of work actually to maintain all of that, but what I want to do is write. That's what I want to do. I want to find somebody else to do all this other stuff. I can't imagine how you would keep up with all this conversation on, so many sites. Just with LinkedIn, it'll take me 4 hours in a day.
And that's why we run a social media agency. That's my own plug. That's my plug for my own business over here. I had to do it. It was shameless because you teed it up too nicely. That wasn't planned. That's for all the business owners out there that are listening, that they're like, oh my gosh, so right. Like, oh, she's so right. Yeah, that's everybody listening. I want you to go to the website missionmatters.com and we'll help you with your social media so you get those 4 hours back. I had to, Debra. I'm sorry. You teed it up too nicely.
But honestly, if I could just write, I could bounce out book after book after book, and that's what I intend to do because I'll have to. It'll have to be volume 1, volume 2, that sort of thing. Also, I did write a children's book that I will publish in conjunction with I want to do them basically at the same time, because what the children's book is about the message, but given to them on their level. For example, when I was about 7, I would wake up seriously every single night standing on my bed screaming. Why? Because somebody was in my room. So I'd finally hear my scream and wake myself up, and I'd run over and turn the light on, and, boom, they were gone. And I was like, who is that? And the angel said to me, we realize and recognize that this is a terrifying moment for you for these milliseconds when you are between places, between the astral and, your material. But we are responsible to return you to your material and we have to have those few seconds. And because you have vision, you see us.
Wow, this is going to be an interesting book. I'm excited. You need to let me know when this thing comes out because I want to see what you write because this is next level for me. I don't get to read a book like this every day, so this is going to be good. So, Debra, that being said, I could talk to you about this all day long, but we're about out of time on this episode. So, if somebody's listening to this and they want to continue to follow you and they want to keep up with the progress of your book and its release, I mean, what's the best way for them to do that and to connect with you and your brand?
Sure. Right now, I would suggest LinkedIn, just Debra King.
Yeah, real easy to find. I put Debra King author and that pops right up. So that was easy for me to find. I'm sure it'll be easy for the audience to find also. So Debra, thank you again for coming on the show and sharing more about your background and all the great work you're doing in putting together your book. I think it's an inspiration. I definitely love when somebody has a message or has something they want to share and they get out there and do it. They put the book together, they publish it, they get that message out because the right people will hear it and they will read it. And that's all that matters. So thank you again for that. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, especially if you're a first-time listener. Love to have you be a repeat listener, so subscribe to the podcast. Leave a review on the Apple iTunes Store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Debra, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for the opportunity, Adam.